Man, screw this game. Zelda 2 has got to be one of my least favorite games of all time. And that's saying a lot. I've played Sonic Forces. Okay? I've played Superman 64. I've played all of the stereotypical horrible games. No. Zelda 2 is my least favorite Zelda game of all time, if not my least favorite game in general. It seems as if the goal with Zelda 2 was not to improve upon the great formula that was set by the first Zelda game, but instead to go in a completely different direction and ruin everything that made the first game so great and beloved in the first place. In a commendable effort, Miyamoto decided that for the next Zelda, he was going to combine side-scrolling games like Super Mario Bros. with RPGs, turn-based RPGs, such as Final Fantasy. It did not turn out well. It's ambitious, I'll give it that. It's not good, in the slightest. The combat can sometimes be quite engaging and interesting, and there are some enemies that are actually kind of fun. Most of them, though, are obnoxiously difficult or just cheap in general. They will constantly swing an attack such that you can't get a single hit without losing a significant chunk of your health. Link controls similarly to a towel that has been wet before being left out in the sun in a pile for 3 years. As in, it's incredibly stiff and not responsive and also not fun in the slightest. For some reason, it was thought that it would be a good idea to add lives. You get 3 lives. Every time that you run out of life, you lose a life intuitively. You start back in the same room where you died with full health and magic. The only problem being, I never figured out how to get more lives, and if there is a way to do so, then it's way too hard to get it. The game's map is uninteresting, to say the least. For the most part, it's kind of just a board game on the NES. And to be honest, it's not that well designed in the first place. And it feels like you're trudging through this. It doesn't feel real. It feels like you're trudging through this fantasy wastelands. And the towns are weird. The towns all have names, and they're the names that would go on to be used for the sages in Ocarina of Time. What's particularly interesting is that the water village, you would expect that to be Ruto, because Ruto is the sage of water in Ocarina of Time. Nope. Saria. The water town of Saria. What? The controls are stiff, progression is unintuitive, enemies basically must be destroyed. You can't avoid them anymore, and they are way too powerful for any sort of balance. Don't play this game. It's not worth it. It's not worth the trouble. It sucks, it's boring, absurdly difficult, and not rewarding. Do yourself a favor and forget that this game ever existed. For all intents and purposes, A Link to the Past should serve as Zelda 2. Because of this, I've made the decision not to finish Zelda 2. I know that at the end of my Zelda 1 video, I promised that I would. But in this case, I'm sorry. This is going to be the video on Zelda 2. And next up will be Link to the Past, which is an actual good game. So please join me for that.